Hi guys. Sorry about the snafu today. I forgot Doc's password to his Zoom. And now I'm waiting for Dr. Thomas Lucky to join me, and I'm going to add him to it. Guest request, allow your viewers to request to join. Yes, we want to do that. Okay. And I'm waiting for him to come on, I think. I see you, Ann. Hi. Down there in sunny Florida. Okay, let me see if I can figure this out a little more. Nope, that's not it. Doc's never gonna let me do this again. Thomas, there you are. Okay, let me see if I can invite you. Add. Yes, I can. Add. Okay, I added you. I think you have to accept it. And you'll probably see it here in a minute. It says we're connecting. We're connecting. There you are.
All right.
There you are.
We're here.
We did it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
A little patient.
Yeah, right. So I wish that we were. Yeah, right. So I wish that we were. I'm going to try turning my camera. It won't let me. It won't let me. I mean, I can do it, but let me try it at the same time you are. Hang on. No, it says I can't. No, it says I can't do it. Tells me I can't. You're going to have to turn off. You're going to have to turn off. Do you have your computer on? Do you have your computer on?
I do.
Can you turn that off? Because I'm getting. Can you turn that off? Because I'm getting feedback on the call. I'm hearing everything twice. I'm hearing everything twice. Hi, Bob Bailey. We know we're trying to get that fixed. We know we're trying to get that fixed. Let's try now. Let's try now. There we go. Nope. I don't know why can you talk? I don't know why can you talk, doctor?
I'm standing on my head. I see you sideways.
Can you turn your phone the other way? Can you turn your phone the other way?
Now I see you upright. Okay.
There you go. There you go. I don't know why we're getting feedback. I don't know why we're getting feedback.
Everything's off in here. Well, I'm in a house, so, it's probably vibrating off the walls.
No, it's that when I talk, it repeats. It repeats. And I don't know why it's doing that. We're not very good.
You're not talking.
Yeah, we're good at getting younger, but we're not good at technology. Let me think a minute. You have your computer off. Right? You have your computer off, right?
My computer is off. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll do it this way. And when you're talking, I'm going to be quiet so you can talk and they will hear you.
Okie dokie.
I know he's perfect, and I'm not hearing him talk double. I don't want double. It's like I'm hearing me on his phone. I just don't know what that would be.
I turned down the mic.
I don't know what that would be. Never had that problem before. You turn down your volume? I can still hear you. I can still hear you, so that's good. Well, do you want to try and start a different live? Do you want to try and start a different live and see if that one will work?
I don't know. I'm not having any problems right now myself personally, so I don't know.
Do you hear me talk double?
Do you hear me talk double?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, we'll just go for it then, okay?
Well, we'll just go for it then, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so today, folks, I would like to
introduce
Dr. Thomas Lucky, who lives
Dr.
in Canton,
Thomas Lucky,
Mississippi,
who lives in Canton, Mississippi,
and has been
and participating with us in Growing Younger
for a few months now.
And has recommended
the H pill to a few of his
patients.
Oh, is that the problem, Joy? I'm
on a speaker.
I'm just using my phone.
Maybe
we'll get it fixed. Oh, let me check my phone. I don't know if I'll lose you if I
go somewhere else.
Why am I on a speaker? Can you hear me now?
I hear you perfectly.
Yeah, I'm still hearing a double. I'm gonna go check my.
I shouldn't be on a speaker on my phone.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
totally sorry about this, guys.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
But anyway,
so happy today
to have Dr. Thomas Lucky visit us on call. He has some unique information to share with us.
And Dr.
Lucky,
you told me that you're a medical doctor.
But you have a little twist on your practice.
You have unique information and utilize different things
that are not common.
So if you could just
explain your practice a little bit to us to start off.
Okay. Well, my name is Dr. Thomas Lucky. I'm in Kent, Mississippi, and I've been practicing medicine for about 20 years. And as far as what I call transformational physician, which is to restore back what has been taken away from us, restore the soul. We look at things from a spiritual perspective as well as emotional perspective. I am a trained internist, internal medicine physician, but I found out that was not serving me too well many years ago. So the good Lord actually allowed me to get into the steps of looking at things from a whole body perspective, which is the spirit, which is the emotional aspect, as well as the physical aspect. So this is what I've been doing now for many years. So I consider to be about 99% of my practice is related to doing something other than actually the traditional medicine, but we still integrate traditional medicine as well in our practice. And I just tried to find the priorities that are really causing people the problem. So with that, and to help people understand, I wrote a book, and it's called the Dr. Lucky 7 Steps to Health and Longevity is the subtitle, but Unleashing the Healing Miracle Within. And that is the fact is we all have that miracle that is within. And we don't need a lot of the outside environment when we can actually look to the inside and really find the real problem that's really not serving us and be restored to the point that we can be changed or transformed into a person that really has optimal health, optimal lifestyle, and feeling good every day instead of every once in a while, every day. And that's what got me into the H pill, as I was looking for another way of dealing with NAD, and because I know the importance of NAD. I've studied NAD pretty extensively through the years, but really could not find one that was satisfied me to the level. And so this brought me into this journey, because the body is really just salt and water. It's really electricity. And if we get the electrical signals right, then we can promote health. We're just a battery, and the battery has voltage. So we increase our voltage, then we can heal. Well, these things, like I was telling Andrea the other day, that our PMF device, well, one of the PMF devices that we have, which is pulse electromagnetic frequency, is the H pill, in promoting that hydrogen that causes energy production in our bodies. So we can do this through physical means, or we can do this also through taking supplementation that will liberate hydrogen to take the food sources that we eat each day and turn them into energy. So this is what we do.
Could I interrupt you just right there, Doctor?
Let's go back and cover some of this.
Let's go back and cover some of this for new people.
You're talking about us being energy
You're talking
beings.
about us being energy beings.
And I had told you before I'd done some research on
frequencies and
earth vibrations and earth
vibrations and earth frequencies and things like that. Maybe we could enlighten some people to understanding
like
some of that.
Let's talk about grounding.
Let's talk about grounding for a minute. That might be interesting to people who have never learned about it.
Right. Well, grounding is really, really, really important. And I like to say there's two rules that run my practice. One is, and I am not ashamed to call myself a Christian. And I know there's some people are not Christians, but we're all believers in something to start with. And somehow we got on this earth. And so I always say that the Creator is what I pay attention to, and His creation, which is the earth. And the closer we are to the creation, instead of actually getting higher up and all this complex world that we live in, we have to take those labels that we are diagnosed with and reduce them down to the symptom, what's really causing the problem, and get to the root of the issue, which is inside the earth. And that is the lack of minerals and the lack of the essential vitamins that we actually need to really make this machine work in the first place. Well, we always look at God and we always look at His creation. So we go back to the earth. The earth is full of electricity, just like we are. We have voltage, and the earth has voltage, and it's caused by the lightning that strikes the earth. One of the big causes of it that causes a net negative charge of the earth. And we're supposed to be negative charged as well. And this allows us to get the good things into the cell and the bad things outside the cell. Well, this is what grounding does, is to take our shoes off or grab a hold of a tree or something that's grounded to the earth, and barefoot, and either lay there or stand there or do something. And what happens is that electrons begin to flow inside our bodies and through our bodies, and it cleans your body out. It takes all the positive charges that are acid and stagnation and toxins and removes them and recircles it through the earth. And this is extremely powerful, because when you do that, you increase blood flow to the tissues, you increase alkalinization. It's not getting a fancy water machine and alkalizing yourself, because that really doesn't do anything. It's the hydrogen. It's going back to what we're talking about, all this NADH. That's the hydrogen on the end of the molecule. So it forms a charge. Those electrons go through our body and they charge us up just like a battery. And when you can do that, you can see amazing things begin to happen. It's like people have seen malignancy. I know of one case of a guy that was eaten up with malignancy, and he didn't have the money to take care of the problem by going to a physician, an integrated physician. And so he was told to go out there and grab a hold of a tree in the morning, and at night before sunset to go grab a hold of the tree. And then in about 30 days of doing that, this tree had like 3 branches on it. One branch died, another branch died, the whole tree died, and he was well because he was cleansed out by the earth. So sometimes it's the simple things in life. We look for complexity all the time, but the simple things in life can do a lot of good. And so what the grounding effect does, it thins out the blood. It's just like a blood thinner, and you have to be careful when you're on blood thinning agents and grounding, because you can really increase your likelihood of actually bleeding, especially these real stronger anticoagulants by grounding. And so that's why I believe it, and I use it about 100 different ways here in the clinic, from supplements to different types of devices that we have here to help people increase their oxygenation, because we're losing our magnetic field, and you can see it in the news. And just put it in a Google search about the loss of magnetic potential. There's going to be a polar shift that's taking place, and that can cause catastrophic changes in our body. They're actually even changing airports because of the loss of magnetic field. The polar north is no longer polar north, and south no longer south. So things are shifting, things are changing. So you essentially can go back 100 years or so, actually, by improving your magnetic potential by grounding.
That's awesome.
That's
That was
awesome.
quite the story about the guy who
That was
was
quite the story
in the
about the
tree,
guy
because,
who was in
you
the
know,
tree, because,
out in society,
you know,
we have
out in society, we have
little
the
statement, oh, they're a tree
little
hugger.
statement,
People
oh,
who
they're
are
a tree hugger.
natural
You know, people
stuff.
who are
So
natural
it's pretty amazing
stuff.
that,
So
you
it's
know,
pretty
if you go hug
amazing
a
that,
tree at
you know,
sunrise
if you go
and
hug a tree
sunset,
at sunrise
you can
and
get
sunset,
grounded.
you can get
I might have
grounded.
to try
Well,
that.
see, that has emotional and a spiritual connection to it, because the sun rises, and the Word of God says not to let the sun go down on your wrath or your anger. So we need to get rid of the anger in our lives, because, just for example, 1 minute of anger will cause your immune system to suffer 46 hours. And if we can learn to laugh and improve our immune system by doing the opposite of things, then we can improve our immune system by 40% just by learning how to laugh and be happy. A merry heart doth good like a medicine, and that's a true statement with that. So with this grounding effect, actually, it's a new day being born, and then it's a new day ending when the sun goes down. So it's saying that I'm burying all my problems, and that's another reason. So it's a virtual reality play that we do with people to let things go down, because you have to deal with all these emotional issues that people are dealing with: resentment against themselves, self-hatred, hatred against God, and all those issues that they have in their lives that will keep them from healing. And because superficial doesn't sound much, but when you look at the real big picture, you'll find out that's really, really, really important in our lives. Probably 89% of our issues are due to being entrapped by some kind of diagnosis or label that's really just there for insurance purposes in the first place. And you get contracted to those conditions, and those conditions will make you extremely sick, because now it becomes my disease, my diagnosis, my issue, and it's hard for you to let go of something when you take ownership of it. So the key is not to live in denial, but to step back and see the real big picture, the big roots of the problem, And when you step back and you take a greater perspective of things, you'll find greater healing than you've never ever found before in a medical prescription or some kind of surgery that they offer or whatever, actually, because all these things are just suppressing, they're filling in blanks, but they're not really getting to the problem. And even the medical field will tell you truthfully, there's nothing they can do for it. That's why nothing's really been cured, nothing's really been treated. It's just symptom management until the end takes place. But you can really transform your body by taking care of the basic little things, and especially the emotional, spiritual aspects of our life. And then that healing will take place, and it's almost guaranteed to take place when you take care of the problem. Because we're not a piece of junk that we've been designed to heal ourselves. It's just like if you cut yourself, you don't have to run off to the doctor. The doctor, which is the body, has the self, blueprint for healing. And so everything in my life is based off of that. My whole practice is based off of simplicity and healing, because I've seen lots of miracles. That's why the book was written in the first place, to show people that, give them hope, and then that not false hope, but true hope. And when you give people true hope, then actually, it sets the process in order for the healing to manifest. Because I don't do anything, like I like to say, we're either victims or we're victors or we're vessels. And my job is to be a vessel. I'm tired of blaming, accusing, and responsibility for taking a responsibility for other people, but to set the boundaries in my life, that I can truly be a vessel and be able to flow through the healing power that is in each of us. I don't have a patent on anything. We all have this potential, and we live so far below our expectations in life.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that. Doc and I have done a call before where we talked about
ways to get
how the ways to get healthy. Part of it was spiritual.
And doing things to remove stress.
Doing things to remove stress.
But you mentioned something else.
But you mentioned something else that you use in your clinic.
It's called PEMF.
It's called PEMF.
And I'm assuming that many people
don't understand what that is.
So could you talk about how that machine works
in regards to
and then
electrical energy, and then compare it to the electrical energy from the H code?
Okay, well, PML, again, is pulse electromagnetic frequency. And anything that has a magnetic field, such as the Earth, we have north and south poles to the Earth. And when there's electrical current in a magnetic field, then you get electromagnetic energy that is pulsatile, that our bodies actually respond to. And the Earth is giving off a pulse electromagnetic field itself. And it has a frequency, and all life is about is frequency. All energy is, everything is just energy. Like the equation E is equal to mc square, is energy is equal to mass times speed of light square. So this is the principle of PMF therapy, is to begin and increase the voltage at the cell membrane, which is essentially a capacitance. It's not the nucleus. Like Bruce Lipton says, you can take the nucleus out of the cell and the cell will continue to function. It's actually the membrane. It's determining what the environment's in and changing the nucleus or the DNA through our environment. So we can shift our environment of our cells and shift the nuclear information and change the expression of DNA. So we're not in bondage to our DNA in the first place. So these are electrons that flows. And when you have electrons that flows, you replace all the positive, the acids, the toxins with free-flowing energy. And if there is a problem in the body, and this could be emotional, because emotional scarring can take place in people. This can be spiritual. This actually can be physical from trauma. and that you have a current there that is called a circus current that instead of going straight through the tissue, it goes around and it continues to generate pain in the body. So when you use PMF therapy, especially the higher level of Gauss that is super, is about 100 times stronger than the Earth electromagnetic field. What happens there is that it's like driving over a speed bump and you hitting it very fast. You'll mess up your car. Well, with this device I have, that your body will shake, and it shows there's an interference with electricity that's flowing through there. And over time, you'll see that shaking disappearing and everything becomes smooth because now you have help regenerate the tissue. It helps with production of stem cells in the body. And you see this with the H pill itself. You see the same thing that helps supports the stem cell function. It helps with the energy production by activating the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is the powerhouse of this cell. That's where we get our energy from. The fact of aging is essentially a lack of mitochondrial function. It becomes very sick, and it can no longer produce the energy necessary to fuel that pump at the cellular level, which means to get rid of the toxins out of the cell and the nutrients into the cell. So when you're actually using PML, it has great similarities to the H pill itself. And that's why I use the two together. Is I use 3 different treatments with that. I call it procedures, as I use the H pill before I start the PML, because I want to make sure the vessels are very dilated to improve the microcirculation. And the PML as additive to that is like taking 1 + 1 and making 100 out of it instead of 2, you know. And then I use EWOT therapy, which is exercise with oxygen therapy, that really changes the vasculature, especially the microcirculation where the capillaries are. See, our blood is very thick. It's like ketchup, and it needs to be like fine wine. And that's exactly what PML therapy does, is that actually allows for the thinning of the blood, because when you have negative and negative, cells are negative, supposed to be negative and negative, they will repel each other, which will open up the possibility for surface area for the oxygen exchange, as well as helping things to flow to the tissue itself. So you see the importance here with the H pill doing a lot of these functions as the PML is actually doing, that is getting our tissue repaired, regenerated, restored. So a lot of these people have really bad pain and it won't go away. And we see that benefit, the same benefit. Usually with the H pill, what I usually see with people is their energy level improves. They have better sleep quality at night, and when you sleep better, you feel better. And then
Right.
the pain effect, and several, 3 months later, your hair begins to get thicker and actually may turn back to the regular colors. And that's what I couldn't get with the other NAD supplements that I've used. I couldn't really get good results in a quick form of time with them, and actually really didn't get any results. So that's how I got on the H pill bandwagon, is by actually hearing Dr. Kim talk by accident. I just went on the internet looking for NAD, and here his talk was. And then I said, something, this sounds like something I'd be interested in. And when I got on it, I saw some difference. I saw some improvement in hair. I know it doesn't look that way, maybe, but you don't know what my hair looked like to begin with. And then, and then I started using it with other people, and we started seeing benefits with the H pill. And so, answer your question, the
Yeah,
H
you
pill
told
is it's the fact that it's allowing electrons to make energy, and PMF does the same identical thing by activating the mitochondria. That you've got support at the mitochondria level because it requires NAD to even work in the first place. And NAD, for people who don't know what it is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And it's important for not only for glycolysis or the breakdown of sugar, protein, fat, that type of thing, but actually generating through the Krebs cycle. And then the most important way of producing is through the ATP from the electron transport chain. And a lot of people are sick, and the sicker they get, the more primitive their respiration becomes as far as making energy is concerned. And so we always look at the NAD to NADH ratio in evaluating people. And we're very deficient in NAD. We lose about 50% of our NAD by the time we're 50 years of age. And by the time we're 70, 80, we don't have like 10% function of NAD. So NAD is so powerful, but the big thing about it is that hydrogen on the end of the NAD, it is promoting. It's just like hydrogen. We talked about hydrogen yesterday too. I've been a big believer in hydrogen therapy. I use it in every way, from nebulized hydrogen to water to creams, about anything. You can do a lot with hydrogen. And it's not the hydrogen bomb that we're talking about. It's something that's very safe, and it's got all kinds of studies connected to it. But you're tuning into that when you use NAD as well.
Awesome. So
or the H.
Awesome. So hydrogen is the element of life.
And we have that new product out.
We have that new product out. It's
proving to increase
hydrogen 18 to 20 parts per million.
So you mentioned last night. We were discussing a lot about
energy.
So we're energy beings.
And
the things we're exposed to in the world change that energy within us.
So we're exposed to the
energy that comes from it.
Not
only just
by intaking the supplement, but
many doctors, a lot of
chiropractors do muscle testing.
And so they'll put a substance near somebody.
And test them for strength, right?
Well, I had a unique experience.
When I first got my 6-pack of H-pill.
I opened it and I set it all
on the counter in front.
And it almost I
could feel the energy coming from.
Right.
It was pretty.
So if we have high energy, we have low disease. All the things you were talking about stimulate hydrogen energy in our body. But I'm going to let you share.
Because I'm getting this feedback.
You told me last night that
you had a hair growing going on.
Oh, I've got a hair growing clinic. I have one of the most amazing things I've actually seen didn't include hair growing. Maybe it did, but I didn't know about it. It was a much more serious case, and it was a 75-year young white female that had end-stage pulmonary fibrosis. And of course, we don't make any claims for treatment of this. We're just dealing with the body and supporting the body's immune system. But she had it really, really, really bad, to the point that when she she didn't walk in the door. She came in a wheelchair, and just transferring her to a little couch would take her breath up to about 50 times a minute. She was on 2 liters of oxygen with 88% saturation, oxygen saturation. That's the amount of blood saturation of oxygen in our body. And so she was really bad. And I had been using uh, PMF and EWAT therapy with her, doing emotional things with her. And she might have gotten some better with those things. But I added the H pill to it, and when we add the age pill to it, it took about a month, and we continued doing the therapy. Normally, what would happen before the oxidative therapy would be that her pulse oxygen would be about 88% on 2 liters, and she would be breathing after about 15 minutes. I mean, calm down, about 25 to 30 breaths per minute. She never really got, her breath back at all, but she could only retain post-exercise about 2 minutes of oxygen. Now, EWAT is when you use oxygen at 100% face masks, and you get them to exercise during that time. And she had to use the floor model pedaling device that we have, actually, because, she couldn't ride a bicycle or anything like that. She was already really, really short of breath. And so she would not normally retain oxygen to the level of 90% with the EWAT therapy. Well, when we used the H pill, and about a month later after that, that her oxygen, and we've been doing this for long periods of time, and she's had slight improvement. But I started putting the H pill before we did anything, and then she was able to exercise the whole time, which is 15 minutes. Her normally it lasts about 4 or 5 minutes is what she could do, and her oxygen sats were 96%, even off of oxygen. Well, the next day I sat there and waited for her to come back down to 90% before I sent her out the door. Well, it never went below 96%. And the next day I called to see how she was doing, and the lady said, well, I said, how much oxygen she's on? She said, she's not on any oxygen. I said, what are her O2 sats doing at home? She said, they're 96%. I said, wow, that was very, very, very impressive, because I don't know of anything else that actually could precipitate that in a dramatic fashion, because we have been doing everything else previously, but I was trying to use that to support the stem cells, because PMF is another thing that helps regenerate the mitochondria, and wake up the mitochondria along with the H pill, and also to promote the development of release of stem cells in the body. So that's what I actually did with her. Now, I didn't check her hair out, but that was more important for oxygen at that point. But I saw a lady day before yesterday or so, and she's 91 years of age. And she said that her hairstylist, she's been on this for about a year now. She said that her hairstylist said, I'm having to cut your hair, and you've been bald there for 20 years, and now her hair is growing enough that she's having to cut her hair up in the front part of her head, actually. So I said, wow, that's pretty incredible for 91 years of age, because they don't really have any any NAD in their body circulating, and now they're having to cut her hair. The hairstylist is. So, she's one case. I also have a gentleman that he worked on the pipeline, and he was had issues with hair releasing too, if you want to say that. And so he was working up there, and he noticed that his energy, he's a high impact kind of guy, but his wife said he was, tired when he come in, but he no longer tired anymore. Don't even complain about that, and still, workaholic, and is growing hair as well. And of course, he works with pipeline and physical work, and he's not complaining of any kind of pain or anything else with that. So I said, that's pretty good too. As well. So, my pastor the other day, one thing we have to be careful with, that people see us all the time, they don't notice us, the change in us. It's the people that hadn't seen you in a long time. They notice things. And so my pastor was sitting there with me, and this guy comes up and he says, he said, "You look 10 years younger. What are you doing?" And so, we are truly seeing the effects of, I don't like to say anti-aging because anti is not a good word in the first place, but reversing father time essentially in people's body. And that's what it's supposed to do. So that's what the research shows it should do. And if it doesn't, it must do it. I know we can't do billion-dollar studies on this because the pharmaceutical company can do those kind of things. But anecdotal stories are very, very, very powerful. They may not work for everybody, but if they work for some people, I'm one of these people willing to try anything. If I see some science involved in it, and I see enough testimonies, because I really believe what the Bible says, that we're made overcomers by the word of our testimony. And if we can't share our testimony, then that's not a good thing in the world, because how can we be overcomers, and how can we help others? How can we support others, and impact other people's lives if we can't even say our own testimony?
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
So I thank you so much. For coming on today, and we're going to have to do this again
because you're a wealth of information.
And we'll get the technology figured out.
We'll get the technology figured
But
out.
anyway, I'd like you to
repeat the names
of your two books. Very
close. So if anyone wants to check that out on Amazon.
Yes. Well, I guess you prophesied. I did have two books, and one they didn't allow to be even published in the first place. So I had to come out with a revision of that book, and this one was actually more telling than the other one. But I got this one published by A Miracle of God in the first place. But it's called Unleashing the Healing Miracle Within. Unleashing the Healing Miracle Within. Dr. Lucky's 7 Steps to Health and Longevity. And that is the name of the book. And people can get that at Amazon or call the clinic, send it from there too. But the importance is actually to recognize that the healer is within all of us. The blueprint is there for healing. We just have to nourish the blueprint.
That's true.
That's true.
Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I apologize.
Well, thank you for everybody.
One more time for the snafu on technology.
Right.
I'll get this right.
Next Tuesday,
we'll shoot for a better connection.
Thank you all for joining.
And we thank you all for joining in with to hear this information for Dr. Lucky today. We'll definitely make him a guest for another call.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Dr.